two questions to get us going, and then we will get on with the rounding. Mox, please can you read the first one? Okay, very low volume, but I'm sure we can all read it and answer it anyway. So I'll give you a minute or so for that one. Well done, Orion. Paulson, check yours again. Check the units. Well done, Sashmit. Well done, Joy. Well done, Manya. Now the units are right, Paulson, but the tens are not quite right. Well done, Aham. Just, Shahan, have you finished? Can you just send the answer? Same with Ali and
Mr. Jamal.
Yeah.
I'm still working out the answer.
Okay. Okay, Lavender, that's the right thing, but the wrong calculation. You've done the right thing, sorry, but you've got the wrong answer. Well done, Ali. And Albertina too. I've not seen anything from you, but let's have a quick look at it. I think most of us are on the right track. Sashmit, what did you think we had to do and why?
We had to add because altogether was in the question.
Okay, yeah, we've got the altogether at the end. We are going to do, after rounding, we are moving to multiplication, and we'll see sometimes it can say altogether and now we might end up timesing, but definitely for now, addition. And of course, he's got 24 and then he gets 26 more. So obviously, if the number is becoming more, we're either adding or multiplying. So we did 24 plus 26. And Shahan, what did you get for your answer?
Oh, this fits me perfectly. I got 50.
50, well done. Next question. Ali, can you read the next question out, please?
Yes. This is perfect.
He has only half of the party at the party. He only opened half at the party. How, how many were still not unwrapped?
Huh? How many were still wrapped up?
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, let's just talk about this one as we do it, because we don't want to spend too much time on this. So well, let's see. Lavender, what do you think we should be doing here?
I think we should be doing division.
We should. And when we're halving something, what would we be dividing by? Lavender. Lavender.
Yes.
So you're right that we're dividing, and if we are halving something, it means we should be dividing by
Tens.
by what, sorry?
Tens.
Not quite. If we're halving something, who knows what we would be dividing by each time? It's the same number every time. Only got Manu and Moksh's hand up. Manu?
When we have something, we divide by 2.
And why is it 2 every time, Manu?
Because, like, if you have one cake and you have 2 friends and you want to give them both equal, so you have to, like, half them and divide into 2. So you cut in the middle, and one person will get another one, and another friend will get the other piece. So like,
All right.
you divide by 2.
And even if we had 100 cakes, Manu, and we half the cakes, how many groups would we be putting the cakes into?
50.
But how many groups?
Groups, are not.
If we had 100 cakes and we
2.
halved them, 2 groups, yeah. So
2.
it's always 2. Now, we haven't done division, so I don't know how comfortable we are at 50 divided by 2, but did anyone get the answer?
I got the answer right.
Anyone else get the answer though? We got Shahan with his hand up. Oriane, Moksh. Oriane, what did you get, Oriane?
The answer is 25.
Yeah, 25. But obviously we'll come to do division quite soon, so hopefully that one would be a bit easier for us. Now, like I said, we're going to move through the next part a bit faster than we normally work. We've been taking it a bit slow, but we've lost some lessons this week because of the map. But what have we been doing in math this week? it can't only be Oriane and Lavender and Manya who have remembered what we've been doing this week. Paulson.
We've been doing addition and subtraction.
We have been doing like in maths. We've been like somehow a little bit of division.
No, we haven't. With only these 3 people who, and let's see if Shahan, is your hand up there? Shahan, what have we been doing?
We've been doing rounding up numbers.
We've been rounding, good. And so far, to the nearest 10. Now, I'm just going to give you 2 questions and we'll see how we do. So you're going to round these 2 numbers to the nearest 10. We just want to see how much we've remembered. We didn't remember we were doing rounding. I'm not sure how much we would have, unless you already know it. So you're going to try and round 85 and 52 to the nearest 10, and then post your answers in the chat box when you've done that. Okay, so far they're looking really good if you've put an answer. Some of you have done both already. Yeah. Okay. Favor, just check the second one. Paulson, to check your second one.
Mr. Jamal,
Yeah.
the second one.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, let me just do it. Let me just do the second one.
Okay. So I think we're just waiting on Joy. No. Joyce and Aham, Kirsten. I think just Aham and Kirsten for your answers. And your second one, Joy. Okay, well done, Aham. Well done, Albertina. Okay, let's go through them because we're going to move on to something different. So we've everyone got at least one correct, either 85 or 52. The one we're going to look at is the 85 one, a bit closer. Hopefully we can just quickly talk each other through that. Who have we not had today so far? Aham, can you tell us the rules for rounding?
The rules for rounding off is if you're rounding in tens and like you have a number 25, then it's not good to go behind because 1 to 4 is when you go behind, then 5 to 10 is when you go in front. So if you see a number 5 or after 5, you need to go ahead. If you see a number below 4, then you need to go below 4.
We round down, good. Yeah, and 5 to 9, we would round up, good. So obviously that part we would need to know, otherwise it would be very difficult to get our answers correct. The other thing we said, Mox, we said when we're rounding to the nearest 10, all our answers will be in what times table?
10 tables because we are doing it in twos.
Yeah, the 10 times table because we're rounding to a 10. Good. So we're gonna put the number line up just in case it does help you. Who used the number line now to help them? Not so many. We might not need it, but we're going to do it really quickly for this one. So obviously we just need to know what would our two options be if we're looking at 85. Now, how can we get this first option here? How can we know what that would be? Who can explain that? Joy?
We're rounding 85.
But yeah, so we need to put two options.
So
How do we? Sorry?
The 80 goes here.
Yeah, how would you know it's 80 there, Joy?
Because the number's 85. So, you have to have a small number and a big number.
Okay, you're right. With the number is 85. Now, you're going back even further. Well, even further. It's only a week or so. But we started off the year and we're still kind of doing it, looking at place value. What is the value of this 8, Ali?
Value of 8.
The 8 in 85, what's it worth, that 8?
What do you mean, Mr. Jamal?
So, you know, you've been doing it on your work on Google Classroom.
Yeah.
If you had 85 and I said, what is the value of the 8?
8 is 80.
It's 80, good, because which column is it in, Ali?
10th.
the tens. So what we've done there is we've took the 8 and we know it's worth 80. So we're either going to be rounding down to 80. And then the next one is a bit easier because Mock said we're just going in tens. So the other option has to be, Paulson.
It's 90.
90. Good. And then once you've figured that out, if you just look at what Aham said and you know that comfortably, then you should always be okay with rounding. So Favor, Albertina, is your microphone on?
Yes, Mr. Jamal.
We're just, okay, Favor, if it's 85, are we going to round up or down? And how do you know?
You're going to round up if the number, the ones, if somewhere in the ones, so as this number has five on the ones, so I know that it is because any number that is 1 to 4 will roll down.
Mhm.
And then any number that's 5 to 9 will roll up.
Okay, good, and it's a 5. We'd round up
And
to,
the 5, so the answer will be 80.
the answer would be 80,
Wait, 90.
90. If we're rounding up, it would go up to 90.
And if you're rounding down, it will be 80.
Yeah, if we're rounding down, it'd be 80. Good, well done. Sashmi, is 85, because normally when we're rounding, you know, another way to say it is, you know, it would be closer to that 10. Is 85 closer to 90 than it is to 80?
It's closer to 90.
How far away is 85 to 90?
It's 85 is like 5 times lower than close to 90.
Okay, yeah, it's 5 away from 90. And how far is 80 away from 85?
Uh, 5 is also is 85 is 5 times away from 80.
Okay, so is it closer to 80 or 90? Or neither?
Neither.
Yeah, so it's right in the middle, which is why sometimes it can be a confusing one, but that's why we need to know that rule, because if we did put it on the number line, you wouldn't actually be able to tell what it's closer to. But when it is 5, like Aham said and Favor said, we go up, so we'd go up to 90. Okay, let's take that one off. Now on your work, you're going to also be rounding to the nearest 100. So we're going to have a look at that now and see how we do. So it's the same rule. Maybe I shouldn't have took that off. Okay, Aham, when we were rounding to
Dashmit, stop playing.
the nearest 10, what digit did we look at, Aham, to decide if we're going to round up or down?
Yeah.
When we were rounding to the nearest 10, so when we rounded this number to the nearest 10, what digit did we look at to decide if we're going to round up or down? We looked at the 8 to decide if we'll round up or down. Lavender, which digit did we look at when we're rounding to the nearest 10?
We rounded up to 85.
We rounded up, but which digit did we look at to decide if we're going to go up or down? The 10s or the 1s? Paulson?
It's the ones.
Yeah, good. Maybe I'll underline it. When we're rounding to the nearest 10, we look at the place value next to it, which was the 1s. Good. So if we had 185, and now we're rounding to the nearest 100, Manya, do you think we'd be looking at the 100s, the 10s, or the 1s?
I think we would be looking. I think we would be looking at the 10s.
Why do you think that?
Because when we were doing rounding to the nearest 10s, we were looking at the 1s.
Maya, you're glitching.
Not
So-
glitching either. Yeah, so we look at one.
So
Yeah, you're right. Manu. We are looking at the 10s, which means, Kirsten, if we were looking at the 10, what's the 10 digit in 185?
The 10th digit is 8.
Kirsten, that means that we're going to round up or down?
We are going to round up.
Up. How do you know it's up, Kirsten?
Because I looked at the rules of rounding, and also rounding up is 5 to 9.
Yeah, well done, Kirsten. Lavender, if all our answers when we rounded to the nearest 10 would be in the 10 times table, then when we're rounding to the nearest 100, what do you think all our answers, or what will they all end in, or what times table would they be in?
I don't understand your question.
So when we rounded to the nearest 10, all our answers were in the 10 times table. So we couldn't have like 14, for example, or 12. When we're rounding to the nearest 100, what times table do you think all the answers would have to be in?
I think all the answers would have to be in the tens timetable.
Okay, that would be the case if we're rounding to the nearest 10. Oriane, what do you think now we're rounding to the nearest 100?
We're rounding the 100s timetable.
Yeah, well done. If you counted in your 100, so 100, 200, 300, those could be possible answers. Shahan, could 125 be an answer if we're rounding to the nearest 100?
Mr. Jamal, can you speak louder?
Would a 125 be a possible answer if we're rounding to the nearest 100?
No.
Why not?
Because it's... Actually, you can.
Actually, you can.
Yes.
Okay.
Because 125.
Okay.
The 5 is going to move in a 10. Are we rounding hundreds?
We're looking at rounding to the nearest 100, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That won't be wrong. That will be wrong. Because it's going to be wrong because it's 100. It's not 500, 600, 700, 800 or 900.
So we cannot round to 125, is that what you're saying? Or we can?
We can't.
We can't round to 125, good. Because if you counted in your 100s, 100, 200, we don't come to 125 anywhere. Moksh. So now what we need to do is think, what are the possible options that this could be? What number do you think would be here?
In that box, it will be 185, and in the other box, it will be 185.
In both boxes, it would be 185. Not quite much. Joy, what do you think would be in this box here? The first circle.
195, and there will be two.
So this one would be 195.
Yes, and this one will be 20.
Joy, if you remember what Oriane said, that all our answers are in, if we counted in our hundreds, that would be one of the answers. So just count in your hundreds 3 times, Joy. 100. That 100, then we'd go to...
It's 205.
Okay.
I
Oh, sorry, I muted you. Oh. Paulson, what do you think? Do you think it's 195?
The first one, it's 180. Then in the second one, it's 190.
Okay, that would be correct to the nearest 10. Why can it not be 180 and 190? Can anyone say why they cannot be the choices? Manuel, what do you think?
Mr. Jamal, what did you say?
Did you hear what Paulson said?
No, I guess my internet connection is bad.
Paulson was saying he thinks the choices here would be 180 and 190. Do you think that's correct?
So the number is 185. Yeah, it's correct.
Okay. Oriane, just quickly tell us again, Oriane, all of the answers have to be in what?
In tens, because in hundreds, I mean.
In hundreds. In hundreds, good. Sashmi, count in your hundreds a bit.
100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700.
In that, in the numbers you just read out, did we get 180 or 190?
No.
No. So we know those can be the options. So same thing like we did with the tens, we have to look at the hundreds. So we're looking at the tens column to round, but we're looking at the hundreds column to get what one of the answers could be. Lavender, what number is in the hundreds column?
Yes.
What number is in the hundreds column?
1.
1, which means in this first box, it's going to be 100. And if we're rounding to the nearest 100, then it means 100 is in this box, and in the next box, it must be
200.
200, because we're going in hundreds. 100, 200. And then we decide if we're rounding up or down. Now, Kirsten has already told us we're going up, which means the answer for this one, 185 rounded to the nearest 100, Kirsten, what would it be?
Pardon?
What would the answer for this one be?
100 round. The answer to 100 round off to the nearest hundreds.
185 rounded to 100.
Pardon?
The question is 185 rounded to the nearest 100.
100. It would be rounded to 200.
To 200. Yes. Because, like she said before, we're going up because of the 8. Right. Now, the issue is our lessons run out of time quite quick, but we're going to try and do some of, I'm going to put 2 again, and I'm just going to see how we get on with those. So you're going to try and round 236 to the nearest 100 and 310. I'll change that one to 380. So make sure you write your answers in the chat box just so we can see how we're doing. Sashmit, 136, you have just taken away 100, but is the 136 in the 100, if you counted in your 100s, are you going to get 136 anywhere? Orion, to 240, Orion. Is that going to come up in hundreds?
Mr. Jamal, I forgot we are rounding off.
Yeah, to the nearest 100. Just as a, in case you didn't understand this part, one place value to the right. So it means lavender, when we're rounding to the nearest 100, are we looking at the hundreds digit, the tens digit, or the ones digit?
The hundreds.
Not quite. Who answered that part before? Manya, are we looking at the hundreds, the tens, or the ones digit?
We are looking at the tens digit.
We're looking at the tens digit to decide if we're going up or down. So at the very least, I would hope all your answers are something 100 at least. So Shahan, you put 202. Is that right for one of them? What does it say? 202.
No, I put 200. The second one was 300. But then it didn't go right.
All right.
Something. So the suggestion thing.
Okay. Okay. Well done, Kirsten. Joy, well done. Manu, well done. Who else are we getting answers from? One of those is correct, Ali, and one is correct, Sashmat. The second one, the 380, is correct. Remember that first option, when we're doing it, you're always going to choose what the 100 would be. So that's going to be one option. And then your second option will be 100 more. Does anybody, when we split the number up like this, does anybody remember that word, that P word? What's it called? Well done, Mox. Just Manu's hand up. Manu, what's that P word called?
It's called partition.
Well done, yeah. So you're going to partition that 100, and that is your first choice all the time. So if you've got 236, you partition the 2. We know it's 200. One choice is 200. What's your next choice? That's what you need to think of. So Favor, when we're rounding to the nearest 100, you're looking at the, like we've said there, the tens digit to decide if you're going up or down.
Oh, I didn't know.
Okay.
Okay, let me just listen.
Okay, we're gonna have to get off because you need to have a break before your next lesson. Maybe in that second, in the language lesson, we'll spend the first part just going over this, so your homework is not too difficult for you. Is there any questions before we go? Shahan and Sashmi.
Bye-bye.
Shahan.
Who's Acorns International School?
Acorns International School. That'll be someone from school. Sashmit.
It's not really like a question. It's something that I know what we can do else. Like when we come to a tricky part in like when we round off the number. Sometimes you may see that you want to round off like what when will we learn rounding or like 4 numbers to the nearest hundreds? When will we learn how to round?
When will we do? Once we're comfortable with rounding to the nearest 100. Oriane.
Oh.
Are you going to send us the work?
At the end of the day, yeah. So in the last lesson, we're going to go through all the work, and then I'll post it.
Okay.
Okay. Joy.
Bye.
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 We're not saying bye,
Bye,
yet
everyone.
because Joy is speaking.
Are you going to send homework about the nearest tens?
About what? Sorry.
About the nearest tens.
Yes. Yeah. I'm going to explain all that later. Okay. With the homework. So go and have a rest now before your next lesson, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.